Hello,
Shot.
everyone.
And
Jason here, Ronnie here, and it's another night of Beyond Flat Earth. You got a clip you want to play, Ronnie?
yeah, let's see here. I should be sharing.
Looking good.
Team YAHAWASHI. Out.
Yeah,
We are back. How you doing?
I'm doing well, brother. How are you?
Good, good. It was quite the day. I'm just clicking on the live stream now to jump in the chat. Tell me about your day, brother.
Well, I've been really disconnected from the world. I'm out in the country at my place, and the tenant that's in there had gone delinquent on the internet, and so there's no internet, and AT&T said that I wasn't going to be able to get internet because the neighborhood was at capacity and all that kind of fun stuff. So yeah, it's different not having internet. I did a bunch of yard work. I was mowing and pruning trees and all that kind of fun stuff.
Yeah, me too. I was doing similar things as well. Um, it was a nice day. It's been rainy here, but still a nice day. And nice to see Disc Part Reality has joined us. Thanks again for all your help.
Awesome.
And
I'm gonna get chat set up for myself as well.
yeah, and well, the video that I put out was a challenge to all the mentioned channels. You have John LeBon. You have what is it, Wolfie 6020? Is that his name?
Yeah.
Who else they got? Um, all these globe earthers. What's this other one's name? I don't usually like giving too many people's names airtime when they're just as info, but you know they have to. So there's Sly Sparkane, Daz the cameraman, Wolfie 6020, John LeBon, and anyone else that tries to bring a picture of a building being obscured and telling me that it's curvature or a boat leaving or coming. You've all been called out. And this video here voted best flat earth proof 2017. Eddie Bravo, is earth actually flat? Is a prerequisite to any comments, debates, anything we move forward in with the flat earth future. You better understand how perspective works and be prepared, because we're not time is short. We're not playing around here. We're going for the truth, and people need to wake up and realize that they're on a flat plane, and there's people out here trying to expose them for trying to lie again.
This is by far one of my favorite pieces from you, Ronnie. It's all coming together. Your editing skills and your knowledge and your voiceover work in it. It was fantastic. And then it's this incredible educational piece. And then you brought in the dubstep at the end, and I was just like, ah!
Yeah, I did that because you had mentioned that you really like that pound, that dubstep, and so does Disc Part Reality. He's also into pounding the bass. You know what next is going to be a very similar video, but I'm going to completely destroy the axis of rotation and how any type of a sphere would have a different orientated sky than the one we observe. So the next video, second best flat earth proof, is going to be star trails and how we see them and how they work.
It's probably each video is going to be the next best, right?
Well, no, I'm just, I also want to give a little bit of credit to Free Energy.
Yeah.
That video was more about the edification of the truth than it was about individuals, but he had put together a compilation of clips that I'd used. And he would try to explain things with such terms such as light body and fourth dimensional space references, which is great if you're a Blender renderer and you understand how all the axes work. But really, it's just a field of view. So we're still
fourth dimensional. Do you have any idea what the fourth dimension is?
Well, ever since I met you, I don't really believe in anything like that.
Yeah.
It's like the number 0. It's not real. So a concept like the fourth dimension is fictitious.
Mm-hmm. It's made up.
We could say elsewhere, but fourth dimension, I don't know. The other interesting things, though, I guess the truth, it takes time, right? We can't just come out of the gate with all the answers.
No, it's a process.
So you can clearly understand how objects in the sky or buildings or planes, how they, disappear from the bottom up when leaving and appear from the top down when approaching. It's pretty much flat Earth 101, right?
Yeah, well, I can honestly say that it's you that's helped me a lot break through and see that clearly, because you had studied this work from Free Energy and you had processed it and made sense of it and got yourself to the point where you could be a teacher of it. And so you were teaching me, but even during that time period, you're still learning, you're getting stronger in it. And then here you come with this piece, just bam, like.
Well, and I did have to give a little bit of a shout out to Disc Part Reality, because, my wording, he came in with good suggestions with the field of view,
Mm-hmm.
and that really helped. The suggestions from his ideas and yours, I think, and Free Energies, it's a collective piece, and I hope we can continue. Well, I know we're going to continue to get stronger with them.
Yeah, you want to play your new video?
I guess we could. Yeah, sure. Do you want to screen share it?
If you're set up.
Okay, I am. Yeah, well, I am. I can do it. Here we go. And I'll be right back. I'll mute while it plays.
Yeah, I'm going to mute too.
Oh, that's not the right screen. No. And where's the new share? Oh. Summer solstice, 6/21/2017. Ronnie from Event Skeptic here, and today I would like to silence the debunkers, globe earthers, and any living being who still believes that objects being obscured by the horizon is the result of curvature. This video will leave no doubt that you are living on a flat plane. As we seek for truth, we will all encounter skepticism, denial, deceivers, and those who lash out because they can't accept who the Creator truly is. This video is for the edification of the truth. It clearly demonstrates that objects leaving your position appear to disappear from the ground up. And objects approaching you in this reality appear from the sky down. In this reality, our vision is limited to what is called a horizon line. This line runs a 360-degree circle of sight completely around us at all times. The outer line marks the maximum distance of our field of view, and it is the boundary of our horizon line at 360 degrees all around us. These diagrams and observations are of a plain, flat view. At this part of the demonstration, the red and blue objects clearly can't see each other because their horizon lines haven't intersected. So from both perspectives, neither object can see each other because their field of view hasn't intersected. As the two objects, circle of sight, approach each other, their fields of view intersect. So in this simulation, we see the blue dot appearing to rise above our horizon. Yet we know that it is still partially blocked and lies beyond our actual horizon line. As the blue dot continues approaching the red dot, it appears to be rising at the horizon, but it's still perceived behind the horizon line. As soon as the blue object crosses the circle of sight or field of view of the red object, it then enters the field of view and crosses into the horizon line of the red object and becomes entirely visible. As the two objects align, their fields of view completely overlap. As the blue object moves further away from the red, it then begins to set on the opposite horizon until finally it completely disappears beyond the field of view. Now we will see what an observer standing on a flat plane observes as a plane passes by. The field of view from the airplane is much larger because of its altitude. Due to the laws of perspective, the higher an object is, the greater its field of view becomes. Now, as the airplane approaches the observer, the fields of view intersect, and the plane can be seen rising from the horizon top first. Due to perspective, the airplane rises visually but not physically, as it approaches the observer until it is directly overhead. Due to perspective, the airplane will descend visually as it moves towards the opposite horizon. Once the plane exits the observer's field of view, due to perspective, it will visually set bottom first and disappear despite the plane never changing altitude. As an object gains altitude, its field of view increases significantly. The field of view from the airplane is much larger because of its altitude. If you were standing at position 1, you would be at the highest vantage point with the greatest field of view, and you would be seen from the largest distance away. If you were standing at position 4, you will have a lower field of view, and you can be seen from far less distance away. Thus, we can see the top of the tower and not the bottom, as long as our field of view stays outside the marks 2, 3, and 4. Now this surely isn't rocket science. This is plain observations that everyone can do. As an observer approaches the tower, it will be completely invisible until your field of view intersects with the tower's highest point and field of view. At each of these intersection points, due to your limited field of view from the ground, the tower will become visible from the top down until you reach the point where the entire tower is within your field of view. Similarly, as you move away from the tower and your field of view crosses the intersection marks, less and less of the tower will be observed, disappearing from the bottom up until it's completely invisible once again. All objects at the horizon will always appear from the top down due to the laws of perspective in relation to your field of view. Likewise, as a ship sails away from your stationary field of view, it will appear to disappear from the bottom up, the very same way stationary buildings appear from the top down when you're the object that's moving. Please stay tuned, tune in, and join in with Team YAHAWASHI. I'm giving a huge shout out to the one they call Disc Part Reality.
thank you. And to everyone else, please get involved. Tonight, 8 p.m. Central, Beyond Flat Earth. If you can't make it then, and you're listening to this in the future, the link is right here. Check out what we had to say. Please, get involved. Team YAHAWASHI. Out.
And that's that.
Wow. I want to dance.
I don't think there's too much room for debunking on this piece.
Yeah, you tighten the margins really, really tight.
I didn't even want to add that you cannot debunk this clip. It didn't even need it. I figured it would be like rubbing it in.
Yeah. Well, we're starting over from fresh, right? Everything that we've been taught is lies. So we're looking at everything like children new again.
Mhm.
And we got to relearn what's actually taking place and look at what we observe. And you laid it out for people. That is truth. Have fun debunking that.
And well, the other thing that I really it dawned on me when I was working with Disc Part Reality was that it's pretty sad that we actually have to do this. It comes to the point where we would like I wanted to make it as simple as possible so that anyone could understand it. But really, we don't have the truth. We don't have this in grade 6 science, where maybe in an art room they talk about perspective and they keep you fixed on like a railroad track or the perspective experiments that we've all done.
Yeah, but they won't get you looking at crepuscular rays right over your head and on the summer solstice now, will they?
No. Well, when you start researching exactly what it is that they consciously choose certain map projections for each age group, and they slowly wean you up to the Hotine projection, which we've used, except we've created a west and eastern Antarctica, whereas the Hotine has Antarctica in one, which actually is represented by, if you probably could cross from east to west. I'm assuming this is all speculation, but it would probably just be a really long journey.
Well, the Hotine's got different versions, and they keep it twisted so that people don't get oriented quite right.
Yeah, and it's kitty cornered, right, as well, on top of Antarctic being in one region.
But they do have one where the Greenwich Mean Time, the one that goes through London, where it's oriented to that, and then they have all of Antarctica together on one side. But like what I did is, Photoshop, you cut it right there, bring it over, set it on the other side. The grid work all lines up perfectly. And, there it is. So they don't put it out just as it is.
And this one's the star chart. But
Yep.
I was gonna actually pull up this is a square Mercator,
Mm-hmm.
closer to a Gall-Peters. You can see it's stretched to infinity, the north and the south. And then there was let me pull up the Hotine, the actual. So instead of us just talking about it, we could show the viewers. Yeah. So yeah, even if you had I guess you don't have your Photoshop, but you actually have the slides that we did to create the map, right?
Yeah, I can start pulling that up.
Okay. I almost have the whole time. I've got trying to organize my computer and make it work. It's tough when you're downloading terabytes of data. It really is. But we do the best that we can. Let me see here. Recent places. Check there. So how was the weather down there?
Today was just phenomenally beautiful. Beautiful summer solstice.
It was nice.
Beautiful.
It was I heard it was hot on the West Coast as well. It's funny. I don't know if I even have that projection. Oh yeah, I got it. Here we go. I'll screen share. And then we can move on to the next. Here we go. And you should be seeing it now. Oh. Can you guys see it?
I am trying to get.
Oh,
I think so. Yeah, I was just trying to bring up Photoshop here.
So, this is the Hotine Mercator, or oblique Mercator. This is actually part of a satellite. I think they call it the Earth from space, but what you can see here is the way they have Antarctica in one general area, and they have east and west kind of going from this corner of the map to this corner of the map. And some things are a little bit skewed, but it is a very accurate land mass. You could sail around the world with this. And one quick thing before I present you, when you're ready, is as simple as the last video was. When you're in grade 3 and you're learning maps in geography class, when you draw a line to this part of the map, you don't need 15 fake flat earth channels to tell you that you come in on this side of the map. You just know. So anyone else, I'm calling anyone else out that thinks that there needs to be some sort of a magical happening for you to come from this side to this. Well, this is what we have. This is what we know. So I'll pass you there.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So for people that were just looking at that, you can see that it wasn't rotated to a way that you would normally be familiar with it. If you look at where London is, in that line, so they've got it shifted over, and then they've got Antarctica out there. Well, that straight line that goes halfway through Antarctica there, if you cut on that line that goes through Antarctica, and you take that side and you move it over to the other side, you'll see that those grid lines over there will line up and match up with the grid lines on the other side, and you'll complete the map. So they're just giving you a bad orientation there. So I can share now.
Okay. And you should good. You're there.
Okay. All right, so here's Photoshop. Is that coming through?
Yep. I'm checking the stream right now.
So you can see here we've got the light blue area, we've got the darker blue, and And just so I can explain to everybody, let me bring out the annotation tools here a little. So here's Spotlight. You should be able to see my cursor move around a little better. And this is what I was talking about, the cut of Antarctica on that line. When you bring it over, it lines right up. So this matches with the C.S. Pierce oblique Mercator 1894. This is the way his was laid out. And the land masses were very similar, but now the Hotime map is telling us that this is the most accurate map of our world on a flat two-dimensional map. And so for anybody that knows that they're on a flat plane, then you're going to know that the map's going to be a flat map like this too. So on their website, they say that all care was taken to make sure that the land masses were accurate. And then they say that they pushed the distortion off into the water. So if we're on a flat plane and then the map is a flat map, there's not going to be any distortion. When your land masses are accurate, there won't be any distortion out in the water. So you can see this light blue. I used one of their maps, rotated it, sliced off, where these lines are here. I sliced this off, I brought it over, put it on this side. And then in the background, you can see that there's, so I'll take this level off. So we've got this map in the background. So I'm taking off layers here. This is the map that you were just showing me when you slice it and move the one side over to the other. It's got the deep blue. It shows the oceans pretty nicely. But this other map, you can zoom in and you can see that it actually even has the country borders outlined, and it's got definition out in the oceans. It's got this topography view. So these dark blue areas right here are just areas that don't fill in with this other map that shows the country borders. So I'm just trying to fill in as much space as we possibly can. I do not know on the north side and south side of this map if we're missing any map, but this is the sum total of what we have right here, and we're trying to show as much as we possibly can. So if it's clipped at the top and the bottom, that's possible. It should not be clipped on the left and the right because of the way it's divided on Antarctica. So the left and right borders should be correct. The top and bottom might be correct. It might not. So this is what we got so far. And then these, the yellow line is the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn. You've got, the Greenwich green line here, red line, the equator. And anybody that's been on any of these continents and goes out to the border and looks at the coastline knows that these coastlines are correct. Now, one of the things that you do see in this is that Alaska and this upper part of Canada here seems to be a lot larger than what we've seen in all the flat maps and on all the globes, along with this part of Russia here. This is a lot larger as well. But in general, the rest of this map, the Asia, the Europe, Africa looks a little bit wider at the bottom than what we're used to. But Australia is right on. South America is right on. This is it. And we're told that it's the most accurate representation of all the land masses. Is there anything else you got to say about this map, Ronnie?
No, you've answered it pretty good. I could share another video that kind of goes right in line with all of this.
Oh, that'd be great.
Basically to back up what we're saying, instead of it just being me and you out here, I'll bring some cartography work into the conversation. If it's a short 5-minute video.
Oh, cool.
I'm not trying to grandstand, but it does kind of flow with the topic.
Nice.
Here it is. Let me get this ready. And this video was the triumphal entry, which was what date was this? What was the day before? April 17th, 2017.
So today, I wanted to share some information regarding the true map and relationships that form the cornerstone and foundation that our work stands upon. It has been clearly visible and documented that the so-called leaders of this flat earth quest for truth are not willing to go all the way with their research. It seems it is far more likely that such individuals are merely here to invent theories and thought experiments while disregarding physical evidence. We at Beyond Flat Earth will stop at nothing less than sharing all of our findings. This is an open source project, and those who do the work will be recorded and remembered. I'm here today with answers on cartography and how maps truly work. The International Cartographic Association defines cartography as a discipline dealing with the conception, production, dissemination, and study of maps. Cartography is also about representation, the map. This means that cartography is the whole process of mapping. Cartography is a complex and ever-changing field, but at the center of it is the map-making process. Viewed in the broadest sense, this process includes everything from gathering, evaluation, and processing of source data, through the intellectual and graphical design of the map, to the drawing and reproduction of the final document. As such, it is a unique mixture of science, art, and technology, and calls for a variety of in-depth knowledge and skills on the part of the cartographer. Sometimes, one person directs the entire sequence of cartographic activities, but this occurs only in relatively simple cases. In the creation of a map, it is much more common for the various tasks to be split up and accomplished by several individuals. Cartography is much more than just map making, however. It is also an academic discipline in its own right. It has its own professional associations, regional, national, and international, journals, conferences, educational programs, and its own identity. As a discipline, it embraces not only cartographers who make maps, but also cartographers who teach about maps and cartographers who do research on maps. Once seen as the products of relatively straightforward practical exercise, maps are now viewed as complex intellectual images, offering rich potential for scientific investigation. Whether the thrust of the research is cognitive, mathematical, historical, perceptual, or technological, cartographers are exploiting this potential to the fullest. Now I'd like to go to the map that Jason from Awake Souls and I have been using. It has been coined the oblique Mercator projection, or the World Satellite Image Map. So all the links are going to be below. This stunningly detailed satellite image of the world, detailed land cover data depicted in an oblique Mercator projection. The parameters of this map projection have been carefully chosen so that the inevitable distortion that occurs is regulated to the oceans and to the least populated and least recognizable land masses. The result is a unique, visually interesting flat map of the world that exhibits nearly no distortion, even at the poles. This version of the map has been done in a stylish portrait, and all we've done is we've correctly orientated the north, south, east, and west. So I'm gonna stay tuned, stay awake, stay aware, and we here also know that the truth will not be televised. It will be imprinted. So please, keep searching for the truth. We will find a way. And don't ever forget that you matter. You are important. And anything that you can share will make a difference.
I looked and saw flying spirits, the solar elements called phoenixes and chalkedras, strange and wonderful. For their form was that of a lion, and their head was that of a crocodile. Their appearance was multicolored, like a rainbow. Their size was 900 measures. Their wings were those of angels, but they have 12 wings each. They accompany and run with the sun, carrying heat and dew, and whatever is commanded them of God. Thus the sun goes through a cycle, and he goes down and he rises up across the sky and beneath the earth with the light of his rays, and the sun is there on the track unceasingly. And those men carried me away to the east of that heaven, and they showed me the solar gates through which the sun comes out according to the appointment of the seasons, and according to the phases of the moon for the entire year, and according to the numbers of the horologe, day and night. I saw 6 open gates, each gate having 61 stadia and a quarter of a stadium. And I measured carefully, and I figured out their size to be so much, through which the sun comes out and goes off to the west. It becomes even, and goes in through all of the months. The first gate, the sun comes out for 42 days. The second, 35 days. The third, 35 days. The fourth, 35 days. The fifth, 35 days. The sixth, 42 days. And then once more the sun does an about turn and goes back the other way from the 6th gate, according to the round of the season. And the sun goes through the 5th gate 35 days, the 4th 35 days, the 3rd 35 days, the 2nd 35 days. And so the days of the whole year are completed, according to the cycle of the 4 seasons. Then those men carried me away to the west of the heaven, and they showed me 6 large open gates corresponding to the circuit of the eastern gates, opposite them, where the sun sets, according to the number of days, 365 1/4. Thus the sun goes back once again to the eastern gates, under the earth. And when the sun goes out from the western gates, he takes off his light, the splendor which is his radiance, and 400 angels take his crown and carry it to the Lord, for since his shining crown is with God, with 400 angels guarding it. The sun turns his chariot around and goes back under the earth on wheels, without the great light, which is his great radiance and ornament. The sun remains for 7 great hours in night, and the chariot spends half its time under the earth. And when he comes to the eastern approaches, in the 8th hour of the night, the 400 angels bring back the crown and crown him, and his brightness and the shining of his crown are seen before sunrise, and the sun blazes out more than fire does. Then the solar elements, called phoenixes and chalkedras, burst into song. That is why every bird flaps its wings, rejoicing at the giver of light. They burst into song at the Lord's command. The light giver is coming to give radiance to the whole world, and the morning watch appears, which is the sun's rays. And the sun comes out over the face of the earth, and retrieves his radiance, to give light to all the face of the earth. They showed me the calculation of the sun's movement, and the gates by which he goes in and out. For these are the great gates which God created to be an annual horologe. This is why the sun has the greater heat, and the cycle for him goes on for 28 years, and begins once more from the start.
Wow.
Brother,
The
do you remember how long we've been talking?
about half a year.
Yeah.
We've
Do you realize what we've done
we've been busy.
in a half a year?
We've been busy, brother. You know,
Yeah.
looking at those perspectives, I prayed. For the first 2 years that I was a flat earther, I imagined in my head, because I was never really 100% sure on the AE map when I was the first flat earther,
Hmm.
just because I realized that I was already lied to.
Yeah, you were event skeptic. That was perfect.
Yeah. Well, my icon was a burning globe back in 2014. So again, I do believe that it's the spirit that creates the truth. We are just basically witnesses to it. That's why you can't debunk the truth.
Mhm.
But I always imagined, what would it look like? What would Earth be like with the proper orientation, where you could have 2 equinoxes, such as today,
Yeah, today.
where the sun travels along this red line here, and everybody on the face of this plane witnesses a due east rise and a due west set. And it's I have better graphics of it, but this one, it does show. So basically, where the moon is on this path,
Mhm.
it's freezing. So that's the path right there. Where the moon is traversing.
Well, that'd be on the equinox. We're summer solstice, so the sun's traveling that top yellow line.
Top yellow line. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was that path almost. Well, they vary, right? They widen and they shorten through time.
Well, the sun runs between the 2 yellow lines, and the moon stays between, like right now it's almost 19 degrees north and 19 degrees south, but the width of the path of the moon varies and cycles as well. So it will open up to the point where it would almost be going between the two yellow lines. Let's see, those two yellow lines are 23.4 degrees. And I think the moon's widest path goes, you know what? It actually goes wider than that. I think it goes up to 26 degrees.
Mhm. I'd have to check.
Yeah, I did research on that. And then I think it goes as narrow as like 18 degrees in a cycle.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That's yeah, well, and yeah, you had that video where you showed the details. I remember it. You went, you were giving us a date when the moon would be going even wider.
Mm-hmm.
Is that
20,
correct?
2026 would be when it would get to its widest path, and then it would start narrowing again.
Mhm. I don't know why I have this one selected, but it's where's my this is another diagram that I like. It shows the way that the clouds move. I can't and the stars, and basically that's what we need to get more people out there with their P900s. That's why this upcoming August 21st is going to be an incredible time, right?
Yeah, while you have this open, could you show us star rotation looking north and looking south again?
Sure. Let me get that was the rainbow.
That is a major fail point for the AE model.
Yeah.
And it makes perfect sense when you look at it like this.
Yeah, it was a slam dunk for me as well. And for you. So okay, so if we look at the map here, the green line is the meridian.
Mm-hmm.
It's also the celestial axis. So it goes from Polaris to Sigma Octantis. And these are the tropics and the equator. And they cut it at New Greenwich, the timeline here.
Mm-hmm.
And so if we're looking from the west, so from Wolfie 6020's, part of this Earth, we're going to notice that the stars. Where's my graphic? Let's see here. Video editor. I haven't had this open in so long.
I know
But it's good because we hope
it's a blast from the past, and we've been doing this for just 6 months, so it's crazy.
Well, yeah. Well, I hope people go back and actually take a look at what we've done, because that's what the whole goal here is. What was it? It's this one, so that we can have people doing their own observations and peer reviewing our work, so to speak, but actual peer reviewing it. So here we go. This one's the right one. So now we're looking north from the south, and we're going to notice that the stars are going to do what appears to be a clockwork rotation. I'll speed it up a bit. Oh,
There it is.
yeah, counterclockwise in the north. Sorry.
Yeah.
And we're going to notice a clockwise rotation from the south.
Mm-hmm.
So anyone looking north on Earth will see the sky rotating counterclockwise. And then anyone from the north of the Earth looking south will see clockwise rotations. It's pretty evident. And then, so looking from Australia, where Wolfie 6020 lives, you're going to see the stars setting. They're going to be going down when you look west. And anybody on Earth looking east is going to see the stars rising. And this is what we observe in reality.
Nailed it.
We did. Well, again, looking south, you see a clockwise rotation, circumpolar rotation around Sigma Octantis. This is COFO 72 has amazing footage of the southern circumpolar rotation, and looking north, you see a counterclockwise rotation around Polaris, which is 89.87 degrees above me. Where I
And
live.
see, that right there is another thing that we need to dive into more and expose more, point out to people. That there you are, Bancroft, Canada, and Polaris is right above your head.
Just about. I don't know why it's not showing me. It is, but it's again with the simulation. So if the sun never passes this yellow line, how is it that I see it rise, or its meridian passing above my head, and then you're down here and you see the sun over your head as well, and then people over here in Africa, people here in Russia, they all see the sun passing the meridian point above their head.
Well, in their circle of sight. So that's the big look up proof. So today, with it being the summer solstice, I was out there watching. I know where south is, I know where east is, I know where west is, I know where north is, where I'm at. I've got it all mapped out. I've looked at it, with compasses, magnetic compasses, my cell phone. I've watched the shadows, and so I know my orientation, and I got myself in close to trees where I'm looking south, and I had these big trees, 40-foot tall trees right in front of me. I was standing right up to the edge of them, so that when I looked up, the sun was right up there. I could stand there and tell where the solar noon declination was, because the shadow of my head between my feet, when it was directly between my feet, I knew that it was the solar noon declination, that was the meridian passing right there. And it's, what was it for me? I think it's like 83.2 degrees is its declination. So, getting close to 90 degrees overhead. But of course, I'm north of Tropic of Cancer by like 800 miles. And so if I'm going to look at something that's 800 miles away, where would it show up on my horizon?
It should be clearly hidden. It shouldn't be visible.
It would be down at the horizon, like, and you can't see 800 miles. So it was right up above me. In fact, I wanted to do some recording today, but if I had an umbrella around, I would have recorded myself holding the umbrella over my head, and I'm clearly in the shadow of it. The sun was right above me here in Austin. And if you would have done the same thing, held an umbrella above you, you would have been in the shadow of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how many miles away are you from the Tropic of Cancer? It's got to be pushing 3,000.
Yeah, thousands. I'm way up here.
Yeah.
But yet the sun still rises in my field of view and sets. And
look at the rise and set angles right now. They're way far north of east, way far north of west.
Mm-hmm.
Way far.
Well, this is the reason why we're in a simulation, and the part of the reasons why that's what we believe, that's what we know. And the other very, very important part of the data that we observe is that there has to be a start and an end to a day. So a delineation of time, it can't be infinite. It has to have a clear-cut beginning and end. And that's hopefully, if we don't get raptured out of here or pause out too quick, I'd like to do some more experiments. I've heard some interesting comments about anomalies happening when flying from, you know, one side of this map to the other.
Well, we know for sure that when people make that long haul trip, like over the Pacific, that jet lag's a big factor. And
Yeah.
I can understand why when you look at it from a simulation standpoint, because this world wasn't really created in a way that, you know, traveling over 500 miles an hour, you end up having to break some rules. And so it throws people's orientation off. Because as you're traveling, you know, towards the sun, 500 miles an hour, the sun needs to set for the people that are down there on the ground at a certain time. But now you're breaking rules within the simulation. So it seems that jet lag is the disorientation created by those rule breakings. And it's funny, you know, how I follow like Drudge Report and stuff like that for fake news headlines. I saw an article on there about jet lag a few months back, and they've got this new groundbreaking cure for jet lag that they want to implement, and it is oxygen deprivation. Have you heard about this?
Yeah, you brought it up to me.
Yeah, they found out that if they starve your brain of oxygen, you don't have the same kinds of problems with jet lag. So who would have thought? You know, just put the person in a semi-comatose state, and all the rules that were being broken within the simulation that disorient you and throw you out of sorts, not as big of a deal.
Well, you know, I have done a little bit of studying on race horses, and I can tell you that they can either receive a boost or a decline from air travel.
Okay.
And another thing that I wanted to bring up with the map, can you see this image here?
Yeah.
So what you basically end up having is a sinusoidal wave when you start adding up. See, this here is a week of days. So a week consists of 7 days, and they need to be broken up somehow. So we know that it takes the sun X amount of time to get from the west to the east, and then back to the east to the west. Or, I know I'm a little confused there, but how interesting it is that this is the pattern, the pulse of the simulation, or the, you know, I just wanted to throw that at you and see what you think.
Yeah. So I think, of course, this is new information for most people. And I can only imagine trying to wrap your head around something like this for a first time. But once you realize that this is the most accurate map, and you know, things like clouds behind the sun, and you know how the sun's directly over your head right now everywhere in your field of view, realize you're in a simulation, and just sort of open your mind to this and start trying to make sense of it. This right here would be a macro view. So we don't have one physical sun that's like a fiery nuclear furnace traveling over us, that one sun moves along that path. When you have the sun and the moon modeled up here traveling over those paths, that would be representing the macro view as far as when the day starts and when the day ends for people along that path. And it would also represent the declination of the sun or moon, depending on your latitude. So that would be a macro view of it. One of the things that we'll do here is model up the micro view of what you see inside your field of view, your circle of sight, and show how this macro view applies to that. And so once we get that micro view modeled up, it's going to look like a hemisphere, a dome. That is the way our circle of sight looks to us. So we'll model that up, apply it to this macro view, and conjoin the two, and hopefully it starts making more and more sense to people. But we are here to answer questions. So if there's something that we're saying right now that you're just like, ooh, what? You know, that's what the live chat's for. That's what the comment sections and the videos are there for. We are here to answer your questions, because even though we haven't been looking at this a long time, since we are the ones that built this, we understand it the best and can answer most of your questions. And the ones that you ask that we don't have an answer for, we'll tell you, well, we don't have an answer for that yet.
Yeah, I'm looking in the chat now. That's well said. The truth is pretty much it's out there. We're not proclaiming to be the smartest or the all-knowing, but we have done, a lot of work. So I'm just getting the chat up here.
Compare this to what the popular flat earth scene has been doing.
Thanks, Dispart Reality. Yeah, it's been crazy what they've been doing, right? They got swag, t-shirts, key rings.
Yeah, with that AE map.
But what are we going to get at the convention? Are we going to talk about the most accurate landmass and working star systems?
Are we going to talk about the fact that we're in a simulation?
Well, you mean the popular flat earth channels?
Yeah.
That's a good question. I wonder if we are. What is that? There we go. I'd try to have them both up in the same shot here.
Yeah.
Let's see if we got not too many people joining us tonight. That's too bad. We try to make ourselves available every Wednesday if we can. If there's any questions in the chat right now for Jason or I, we'd love to hear them. Hi, Abby. Hi, Dispart Reality.
Well, Dispart Reality says, so is circumnavigation on this map simply circling the land masses and not leaving the map? No, that's the way the AE map works. So the AE map, everything's contained inside a border, which would have there would have to be some sort of outside containment. So we were told that it's an ice wall that goes all the way around, that Antarctica is all the way around us, and there's an ice wall all the way around us, and that's what contains it. And circumnavigation happens within that, or a dome, an enclosed world. You've heard these terms from popular flat earth shill channels. And so in order for this to be the physical reality that we've been taught by Satanists, if the earth is flat, you would have to be in some sort of enclosed world. And that's the reason Mark Sargent has promoted that so much in the stuff that he does. But that's not the only option if the earth is flat, because when you look at the evidence and you see clouds behind the sun and you see the angles of the sunrise and sunset, and you pay attention to how that would work, you can see that the sun and moon are not doing circles over an AE map. So circumnavigation on this map right here would have the type of effect that has been heavily coded against, CIA, MK Ultra propaganda. They labeled it the Pac-Man move, right?
Yeah, they called it the Pac-Man. But on our map, whether you go north or south, it's like what do you call asteroids?
Asteroids. So Pac-Man, if you remember that game, there was paths. And so there'd be a path going out one side of the screen and you would come in through the path on the other side.
You draw. Here, I'll give you the draw tool. You're in control.
All right. So, in Pac-Man, you would follow one of these paths and you would come up, you go out the one side of the screen, and all of a sudden you would show up on the other side of the screen. But it had to be through one of those paths.
That's not showing up.
Oh.
Yeah, it was on draw tool.
Is this showing up?
Yep.
Okay. So when it okay, it's a little slow. So when it would go out the one side, it would show up on the other side, and that would be the Pac-Man. But the 1979 Atari game Asteroids, who all of us should be familiar with this game. When that asteroid came through the screen at a certain angle, it would cross that line and it would follow that same trajectory and show up on the other side, going in all directions. And so I've said for a long time that the number one way to test whether or not we are correct on this is like a trip from Cape Town, South Africa, going what we would think of as being south. All right. Go like that and see whether or not you show up here coming into the islands of Alaska or into Russia here. So
it's not the trip to Antarctica. You're talking going from the south tip of Africa to the most northern reaches of the Russian-Alaskan borders.
Yeah, that would be the way to test it, hands down, to see whether or not we were correct on this.
And there's also many stories and even disinfo, but Captain Cook, he has many adventures where they actually, a lot of sailors would leave from this area here or from this area here to go anywhere in the world, and they would travel, this way, and they would come this way. They would go around this way, and then you'll see they come out here. This is recorded. They go this way. I'm pretty sure they're going to come out. Like, all of these corners basically are connected.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then we can also get into the wind, which I remember you were starting to get into that before we got, we had to go into some heavy war. We've been in war here, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
If you're just joining in. But we believe, remember you had that SketchUp graphic where you had the air conditioning systems. You had the gates and the way that. So we can also figure out the jet streams and the way that everything works. I have a hunch that the electromagnetic properties of the wind and what the sun and moon actually ride on is basically electrical force, which you can see the scarring along the map, the way that the electric lines of force and the actual magnetic lines go. And it's all pretty much here. Now, I do want to ask you, I remember you did your measuring of place to place on the flights. Now, I know this area here. Have you heard that Putin has given away 2 or 4 hectares of land up here to every Russian alive and non-Russian as long as you apply for citizenship?
No.
Yeah, so Putin has given away all of this land to the people. Me and you could go there right now as long as we have a plan to build, and then in 3 years' time they come back and we've built dwellings. This is the Skull and Bones area. Putin also campaigned that he was the toughest president or prime minister or whatever, and he took a Jeep as a campaign ad, and he was going to drive through this area here, and supposedly Stalin dumped bones and crosses all through this. This is known as the bones and cross area of the earth. And halfway through his trip, he was seen in the paper coming back hooked up to a tow truck because he broke down on the skull and bones up here. So I don't know why he's giving it away now.
Huh.
It's also the area where those domes that are supposedly alien technology that come out of the ground. You ever heard of those?
I haven't.
That's in Russia as well. There's a lot of weird things that go on over there, but this is all free now, which is really odd. So that's pretty much as I could go over right now with the map.
Yeah. Well, and it's good that we just keep touching on it because it's a new way of looking at stuff, and it seems like it just takes time for it to settle in, and if it's true, it never goes away. So we're truth bombing people. It's I've done this to a few people recently where I just told them things that were true, and I know that it's gonna shake up the world because they're not gonna ever be able to disprove it. So
Yeah. Can't debunk the truth, right?
You can't. Yeah. So and these were people that I know probably didn't want to hear it, but they heard it, and now they're stuck with it because you can't get rid of it once you've heard it.
Nope. It's once you see a magician's trick, the illusion is over. And so I hope that answered Disc Part's question. Really appreciate all the questions. We are here to commune with our subscribers. We're not fake trannies trying to like sell you t-shirts. We're here for the truth. Is there any more questions?
Well, the other thing that I just want to keep hammering on, and I'm gonna make some videos here soon about that, as soon as I have internet. Today, summer solstice, it's the 21st. We are 2 months, two months, however you want to do two, okay? 2 months from the eclipse. And so everybody needs to be making their plans, their arrangements. We need all P900 photographers to be mobilized, be in the path, and to record this, because we do not have any good footage of a solar eclipse. And now we have P900s. And we have learned that the solar eclipse is a simulation realization moment. I just want to show people again what happens during a solar eclipse. You see this?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody, this is eclipse shadows. So eclipse shadows. These are the shadows. These are shadows from light going through trees during a solar eclipse. And there is testimony to people that have witnessed and experienced this. It's not just these shadows. You also have, the moon. The moon's moving. It's a new moon, so it's not an illuminated moon. It's moving. Anybody that's filmed it knows how fast it moves. The sun is moving. Anybody that's filmed it knows how fast it moves. The two are going to line up. They're going to come into place on top of each other, and there'll be an eclipse for a duration depending on where you're at. In the minutes, they lock there. They stay there. You get shadows like this, and people are saying that I've got multiple testimony now that like all the animals and everything stop and give pause. So this, go ahead.
Yeah, this is a huge event, and I think you'd be the perfect person to put out a calling all people to an eclipse watch.
Yeah.
Be a great video. I know you're. So the question in the chat was, in our model, from Abby Hayes,
Yeah.
is Antarctica is not a round circle boundary. So I guess the Antarctica is these two regions here, the east and west.
Mm-hmm.
And we haven't been able to explore them, but they're definitely not circles 60,000 miles around.
Well, and here's the other thing. All the trips to Antarctica depart from like Argentina. So they what is it? Ushuaia?
Yeah, Ushuaia,
Argentina.
Yep.
Or from Australia or New Zealand, over on the other side. But they do not depart from Africa. Okay, so if we were on a globe, or if we were on an AE map, you could depart from South Africa, and you would get there if you headed south, right?
Yeah, you should be able to go this direction here. You should be able to go this way to get there. If it was the AE map, or this way, or this way.
Yeah, and anything south, you would run into it, right?
Yeah, but unfortunately, this isn't the case. You only have the trips going from, like you just mentioned it.
Yeah, from Argentina or from Australia or New Zealand. So there have been trips done from South Africa, and then they have a super, super long trip, and it's a very hard trip. And you can see why if you look at all those grid there. So nobody seems to want to go to Western Australia, which is the side that we're seeing on the right-hand side of the screen there. Everybody wants to go to the eastern side, which is the part that shows up over by South America. So you can see what a trip that would be from South Africa. And yeah, they're not doing that trip. They're not making that one.
No, not at all. It's quite obvious. We and I also know that, like, if Math Powerland and his big, I've been calling this out too. If he tries to say that, he goes from here, I'll draw it just so everybody can see from here to here, and then he's going to say that, oh, the Earth's a ball. You know, you could have bet on it in Vegas, or he goes from here to here, from here to here. Like, this is what I'm worried about, because I believe your destination is more of a realization of where we are, when you can go from, I guess, the south area here. This is still the best. That trip to,
That's the way to test this.
it's going to be, the only way is if someone can do this trip, they come out over here
Mhm.
or here. But yeah, that's pretty much the, so that, I think that hopefully answered. It's not a circle. Oh boy, this is you know, it's incredible that people in the future, there's what, 10 of us here. There's only,
Yeah.
you know, you could go bust NASA or watch, you know, I'm gonna have to say that I want to give a huge shout out to Dozeman 66 ODD, because, you know, he's single-handedly taken down the opportunity for truth to be live streamed. And I just want to give you my 2 thumbs up, and hope everybody gets exactly what they deserve in the next life.
Yeah, well, a satirical 2 thumbs up, because yeah, they're out there muddying the waters, spreading lies, continuing to deceive. You know, anybody that has eyes to see, a working brain, can tell that the popular flat Earth model is impossible in so many different ways right now. I have lost count. Yet we're on a flat plane. That's true.
Yep.
We are on a flat plane. So you got to keep looking. As we've seen here tonight, you and I have laid down stuff that I'm just like, wow, can't believe we've laid all that down.
You know, I think it should be fitting that we end the episode with your simulation realization video. I'm just going to share it with the 4K resolution.
All right.
Was there anything you wanted to add, or?
No, we can leave it on that. I'll say thank you to everybody that's been watching, that's been participating in the chat, and obviously I want to hear from you. We're using Zoom for our communication tool, so I can be found on Zoom. You can use my contact email is jasonlaufenberg@mac.com. So get Zoom, it's free. Send me a contact request. Let's talk. I want you to get involved in this. And I want to let everybody know how much I appreciate you, Ronnie, because you're incredible. You're a workhorse.
I appreciate the compliments, and, you know, I have to give thanks to you, people like Disc Part Reality, who came through and helped me hugely. You know, and all the other truth seekers out there.
Yeah, Rosette Delacroix.
Enslaved by Media, great show we had on Sunday. Flat Earth Photography, except I'm a little bit.
You're not into voyeurism. That's all right.
I don't like spying on people, and I don't like using sex. These are Satan's tools, and I want nothing to do with them. Even though I love Flat Earth Photography's spirit, and his enthusiasm, and his footage is just amazing. I just wish he could hold back a little bit on the voyeurism, because we have. But who am I to judge?
Yeah, we're not judges. We're not judges.
I'm not here to judge. But
he's fighting against liars and deceivers, and for that, 2 thumbs up.
Yep, not a satirical way, but an actual honest. Like I said, I love his footage, and yeah, thanks again to everybody in the chat. It's such a pleasure to be able to live communicate with people like this. It's priceless. And Jason, I really appreciate all the inspiration and everything that you do, brother.
All right. Well, only
On Beyond
Flat Earth.
Have you ever wondered what you've been missing? Have all the questions been truly answered? Where do you draw the line? Where do you stand? Welcome to the truth about everything.
To the people that subscribe to the truth about everything before there was any content on this channel, I must give you my deepest thank you. But the wait for content is over.
Welcome. You have reached the truth about everything.